Hi, I'm Stang. I'm the author of several guitar methods and a former editor for Warner Brothers Publications and Alfred Music, and I'm going to walk you through some of the differences between the various guitar methods that are available to you so that you can better decide which ones work best for you and your students. The first one I want to look at is the Alfred Basic. Now, the Alfred Basic guitar method, it's been around I think since the 60s. It is a classic traditional method. By traditional, I mean that essentially you're going to learn all the notes in what we call the first position on the guitar on each of the 6 strings. So quickly, that would simply be the traditional methods usually teach those notes from the first string, and the first string is this one. It's a little hard to see. It's the top string, okay? It's the highest string. And they typically teach E, F, G, B, C, D, G, A, and so on down. A typical traditional method teaches notes first and rhythms. They teach via examples and simple melodies, typically folk songs, common things like nursery rhymes, things that everybody knows. So for example, here's a look at one of the first pages of instruction in the Alfred guitar method. You can see that here you're learning your notes on the first string, like I was just sort of demonstrating. You are learning to play quarter notes, each note, then a simple example. You can see that everything is recorded on music examples, and I'll show you later how to access them. See, this is track 2. Down here, this example is track 3. I'm going to move a little later in the book. Here, at this point, let's see, we're on page 37, so we're well into the book. At this point, students know basic chords like A or A7 here and E. Here they're also playing melodies on all the strings, including some notated chords, and as an option, students can play the written chords here that they've learned in the book. Recordings of all the music are online, and there's simple instructions contained in the beginning and end of your book to show you how to access all those recordings, so that's really easy. I recommend the Alfred method for students, I would say, between roughly 8 and preteen, and even into teen years. Of course, it could be used by anyone. It could be used by an adult also. Especially book 1, I feel like the song choice, the folk songs, the simpler songs are probably best with older kids and preteens. Now I want to talk about the 21st Century Guitar Method. I'm the author of that book. It's also a traditional instrumental method, covering all the notes in first position, starting on the high E string and working down like most of the traditional guitar methods do. Covers all your basic chords. The repertoire is very diverse. It runs from classic folk songs, Christmas songs, of course there are numerous classical melodies. We have several flamenco-style songs. Traditional music like Scarborough Fair. The book includes rock workshop sections that are specifically designed to get a student to begin playing rock and blues. One of the things about this method is that every single thing in the book is taught and demonstrated on audio and video, all of which is available. The information is in the book, how to stream the video and how to download all of the audio. So every single thing is taught very specifically, If you as a teacher are not an experienced guitarist, it's very easy to watch the videos and you can learn, just in advance of having to teach that particular song. Levels 2 and 3 of this method kind of assume that if someone is interested enough to get through level 1, then they probably want fairly more serious material in levels 2 and 3. So that's the way they are. Finger picking is introduced in level 2, including Travis picking and arpeggio style. Getting deeper into rock soloing and blues soloing and things like that. So now we're going to take a look at sound innovations for guitar. Sound innovations is a non-traditional guitar method. It combines traditional note reading based learning, but also with rote and ear learning. It was written specifically for the classroom, and virtually all songs and examples are intended to be performed as duos, trios, and ensembles. The book has a really strong focus on guitar-specific skills like strumming and singing, accompanying others. It also has a very strong focus on playing guitar solos and improvising. It features full demonstration recordings and videos, and most important, the teacher's edition provides 36 complete lesson plans that are spread across 6 levels. Each level does end with reviews and assessment materials. The book begins on the low E string instead of the high E, allowing it to then immediately introduce the full E chord. Students are always performing together, and beginning on the low E allows the book to utilize guitar bass line style riffs right away. Both fingerstyle and pick style are featured throughout the book. Students play in ensembles throughout. Guitar is usually played with others. It's not really a solo instrument. The student parts will range from notated melodies to finger-picking patterns in tab and improvised strumming accompaniments. Playing by ear is an important part of guitar playing, and in the book, students are guided through a process of finding the correct chords for simple 2 and 3 chord traditional songs. Here's another example where students form an ensemble, performing the melody, finger-picking accompaniment, improvising strumming patterns, and singing. Okay, so far we've talked about 3 excellent basic guitar methods, each of which is appropriate for any beginning student, especially if their interest is any kind of popular music. The next method I want to talk about is the Aaron Shearer Classic Guitar Technique Method book. Now this book has been around for 30 or 40 years. It is one of the main classical guitar methods. It's one of the ones that almost all classical guitarists use. And classical guitar is very specific to playing music from the Renaissance, Baroque, classical eras up through the modern eras. Classical guitar is almost always played alone. Of course, sometimes they play duets and in ensembles, but one of its primary focuses is solo guitar playing. It uses a very specific technique, and it's always played on the nylon stringed guitar. I would suggest that this book is really great if you've already got some guitar background, rather than starting it cold with no guitar background at all. And again, it is very specific to classical music. This book is not going to guide you through playing strumming and singing, through playing folk songs, pop songs, rock, blues, anything like that. But it's awesome if you want to get into the classical repertoire. Here's a couple of sample pages. Now let's take a look at two different guitar methods that are both geared towards children, basically ages 5, 6, 7, up to 8 or 9. The first one let's look at is Alfred's Kids Guitar Course. Now this is very similar to Alfred's basic traditional note reading method. The songs are more appropriate for children, the songs and the exercises. It follows a slower path. You can see here on this first page that it's very colorful and appealing to kids. Here the kids are learning their first chords, just 3-string chords. And on this next page you can see the kids are learning their notes on the G string. Overall, this is an excellent book for kids. Okay, so the last book we're going to look at is Sound Innovations for Elementary Class Guitar. This particular method was written specifically for classroom. It is designed for children 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. You get 36 complete lesson plans divided in 4 levels. Now, just like its big sibling, the Sound Innovations for Guitar, this one is non-traditional. For example, those 36 lessons are divided into 4 levels, and level 1 is entirely taught by rote, by echoing, imitation, using tablature and diagrams. All teacher-led, of course. Getting into levels 2, 3, and 4, the students are introduced to note reading, chords, etc. Every single thing is taught with video and audio supplements. Let's take a look at a couple of the sample pages. Here's a sample page from level 1. The students have not learned traditional notation yet. They are learning by rote, using tablature, and having the teacher demonstrate. Here the students are playing some very simple children's songs. They play and sing the songs. The teacher demonstrates and plays along with each one, or the teacher can use the audio and video lessons to guide the students through this. On this page, the students are playing some bass line type riffs, like that second one on the bottom is sort of the James Bond riff. We're now in level 2, and you can see the students are learning traditional notation. You can see those phrases 1 through 4. This started at the very beginning of level 1. The teacher will play the first phrase and say the notes out loud. The students will then echo back. When the teacher's ready, he moves on to phrase 2, 3, and 4. The students are always echoing back what the teacher is demonstrating, and that's a teaching technique utilized throughout this book. Here you can see students are learning the E minor chord. They've already learned the A minor chord. They're going to play and sing the traditional song, Wade in the Water. One last example here, the students are learning the short form, or the 4-note versions of the C and G7, and they're going to play and sing O Susanna, and you can see this is a duet or a trio. So some students are strumming the chords, some students are playing the melody, and some students are singing the melody. I hope I've answered any questions you've had about all these various methods. I know it's confusing, there are so many of them, but hopefully now you have a better idea which ones will work best for you and your students.